Tensions in the Middle East remain high as fighting between Iran and Israel, with involvement from the United States, continues to escalate, raising fears of a wider regional war. Missile exchanges, military strikes, and growing diplomatic pressure for de-escalation have placed the region at a critical crossroads, with concerns also mounting over the humanitarian impact and the potential consequences for global security and energy markets. Amid the growing international debate, perspectives from inside Iranian society remain complex. To unpack the latest developments and what they could mean for the region and the global south, we're joined by Iranian-South African political analyst Amir Bagherioromi. Amir, good morning to you and thank you for making time to talk to us.
Yeah, good morning to you as well, and it's good to be here.
So, several voices from the Iranian diaspora have been featured in international media in recent days. From your perspective, how accurately do these voices reflect the actual views of the ordinary people inside Iran right now?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question and giving me the opportunity to come to the show. I do think that while some of the Iranian diaspora represent a certain percentage of the Iranian people, both in Iran and outside of Iran, I don't, however, think so that they are representing majority of Iranians, whether in Iran or outside Iran. Unfortunately, when you look at the kind of talking points that the members of Iranian diaspora constantly emphasize on and perpetuate. They are all very similar. It seems all very organized. They are all very pro-Western and pro-war without really taking into account any of the nuances that come with wars of this nature. And I don't think they really take into account the struggle for sovereignty into consideration. And because of this, based on the many conversations I've had with Iranians, even in Iran, they're quite embarrassed and disappointed by the way in which some of the Iranians in diaspora are conducting themselves.
Many Iranians are known to be critical of their government, but you've argued that this does not necessarily translate into meaning that they support foreign military intervention. Can you elaborate on that, and also as far as what that means then in terms of how people inside Iran are responding?
I think the most important thing to recognize is to understand that Iran has never been politically a hegemonous country, homogenous country. I apologize. When you look at Iranian history for hundreds of years, you would know and you would see that there's always a political difference amongst the population. And this time around as well, it's nothing different. There are people who are very critical of the existing government. There are many people who are critical of the regime for many decades, and they have, showcased their criticism either through protest, through uprising, in some cases even through armed struggle. For example, you look at, some of the separationist Kurdish groups or Baluchi groups that exist within the borders of Iran. But what is really interesting, for example, many separationist groups in Baluchistan, in the south east of Iran, since the war started, they announced that just joining the Iranian regime to fight against U.S. and Israeli oppressive forces on the side of Iran. And this kind of shows you that even people in Iran that were critical of the regime for about 30, 40 years have decided to join the regime to make sure that at least, the well-being of Iranian people, regardless of their ethnic group, are protected within its sovereignty. And they are saying that they would much rather prefer to deal with issues in Iran with themselves within the Iranian territory. And this has been an ongoing message that many academics, political activists, even in diaspora, have been saying that if anything in Iran has to change, it would have to come from its people within its border and not necessarily through military intervention of foreign forces. What is also really important, and I have to mention here, is that historically, any time any foreign force has tried to question or threaten Iranian sovereignty, they have not succeeded. And I'm not necessarily talking about something of the contemporary history. This has existed through ancient history up until now. This is not a nation state that foreign forces are generally successful towards. So that spirit of Iranian pride, I think, exists still in Iran, and mass majority of people would rather defend their sovereignty rather than anything else.
If we move a little bit away then from within Iran and look at it from a global south perspective, including countries like South Africa, why is it important that we understand this conflict beyond the dominant narratives that we're hearing on international media coverage?
I think it's fundamentally important because you have to also take into account South Africa's historical relationships with Iran. A lot of the people in Iranian diaspora that are in support of this foreign intervention are individuals who are in support of one of the so-called opposition leaders, Reza Pahlavi, who is the son of Iranian last monarch. Uh, what is really interesting is that the monarch family during the apartheid state of South Africa was in extremely good relations with the apartheid government and supported the apartheid government with oil. And when he was overthrown, the current regime in Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, withdrew its diplomatic relations with the apartheid government, withdrew its oil and financial support from the apartheid government, and actually supported the ANC armed struggle against South Africa. And if as South Africans we appreciate our freedom, we appreciate our democracy, and we are grateful for all the countries that assisted us to get here, Iran would probably be one of the countries on top of that list. And to kind of, look at the diaspora, even in South Africa, to go outside the U.S. embassy and, wave the American flag, wave the Israeli flag, show their support for violation of human rights, show their support for bombing of, school, children's school in different parts of Iran, and really continuously emphasize on pro-Zionist messaging should tell the South African government what kind of Iranian diaspora, they're dealing with here. And so for the South African public, they should know, this history because it is fundamentally part of the fabric of South African democracy.
From a broader geopolitical picture, what are the potential implications for the Middle East and global power dynamics?
We have to just wait and see. I think Iran, through its strategy in this war, has shown that a lot of its attacks are based on reciprocating how it is being attacked. When its infrastructure is attacked, it hits infrastructure. When its military infrastructure is attacked, it hits in military infrastructure. When its banking system is attacked, it hits banking infrastructure. And what we have to be aware of is that I think we have to just see how U.S. and Israel conduct themselves, and then we have to prepare ourselves for the Iranian response to that. The impacts could be devastating for the international community, for the global south, both in terms of energy crisis and inflation almost on every single item, whether it is food, whether it is agricultural products, whether it is uh, petrochemical products. It's going to hit us in every potential way. And the Iranian government has constantly said and emphasized that, they didn't start this war, but they will make sure that they are the ones to end it. And as international community, we have to just make sure that we utilize, multilateral platform and spaces to
Right.
continuously encourage diplomacy to make sure that these tensions come to an end before it gets worse.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Amir, thank you so much for your valuable insights and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Amir Bagherioromi is Iranian-South African political analyst, unpacking the latest from the escalating tensions in the Middle East there for us. 7:30 Central African time. That means news headlines with Oneli Nsinsi.